There we go.
Boom. Yeah, that's the intro. All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Hyperspace Hype, episode number 42. We got plenty of different topics to discuss of all shapes and sizes of canon. So, without further ado, joining us as always, we have Carson.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, unexpectedly really dense episode of Mandalorian. Probably the most speculative we're probably gonna get, at least from the front half of the season. I feel like I was expecting this kind of be more or less, a fun heist episode, and it very much was. But also it had a lot of implications, and our big bad showing back up. I'm excited to get into it.
And also joining us, we got Evan.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I felt like last week we kind of dived into a lot of different theories regarding Bo-Katan, the Darksaber, Ahsoka, what's going to be next for the season. And now this episode, I'm like, wow, we have even more theories to dive into, so that's very exciting. And then we can talk about the holiday special, and that should be fun too, because I just watched that 2 hours ago. So it's fresh in my mind.
I watched it 14 minutes ago, so...
Good.
Don't know why we're measuring this.
I know, right? You want a cookie, Nathan? Here.
No.
I watched it on Tuesday, or whatever it came out.
Right.
At 3 a.m.?
No. So let's get into real meat and potatoes of the discussion. All right. Holiday special.
Why not always meat and potatoes?
Not gonna do that with you. Oh, yeah. Mando. Interesting episode indeed. Directed by Carl Weathers. Think he did a pretty good job. It was funny, watching the episode. I was we were going through, and there's a lot of cool, little moments and stuff. But as I was going, I was like, I don't think this is doing the effect that I had where episodes are topping themselves. I was like, okay, we're having a pretty good time until they did get into the laboratory, and I was like, wait, now you've got, what was the Leonardo DiCaprio quote?
Oh, you got my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good old Django. Yeah, this is interesting. Starting off with the Carl Weathers of it all. The interesting thing about TV, I keep saying this every week, TV and Mando specifically, it's hard to understand a director's vision or his style with episodes like The Mandalorian. It's really hard. Even when Breaking Bad was coming out, I couldn't really tell that was Rian Johnson until years later, when I knew who Rian Johnson was. So I think Carl did a great job in terms of the action in this episode. I don't think any of the acting was pretty different or standard or anything. It was pretty basic. I saw some people saying Gina Carano was pretty good in this episode, right? I'm like, was she? I mean, she's... I'm like,
she
might have been dialed back a bit in my brain.
Yeah, people see one emotional scene, they're like, great acting. I'm like, it was okay. I mean,
I think the writing was
you just like Alderaan.
We'll talk about that because that line was pretty weird. But yeah,
it was almost pressure into her. It's you're from Alderaan. Sympathy.
Which we knew about that last season though. We already knew that last seson. It's not a big name drop now.
The funniest part for me, we'll just talk about it right now. Fuck it, because the line was are you sad, or what was the exact line? It was do you miss anybody, or who did you lose? Yeah, he's like, who did you lose? I'm like, mother effer, I lost a planet. That's what I lost.
That's enough.
That's enough, right? Dang, I lost a planet.
Yeah, she should have said there's nothing left. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I was specifically tied to the family of Organa. What did you want?
Yeah, what did you want there? It's that line was so weird to me. It's oh, your whole freaking world is massacred, but who'd you lose? I'm like, I lost everything.
Yeah, I like we'll talk about this more, but I do like the whole New Republic people keep showing up, kind of surveying, and
not Dave Filoni.
Yeah,
right.
They're kind of like detectives, Carson, detectives and kind of cops, and they're kind of showing up and trying to almost garner evidence that these events are steamrolling into something, but they can't make a case because obviously this is out in the galaxy and the New Republic is focused elsewhere. And then now with this thing with Moff Gideon's doing, obviously it's taking some convincing and there's a disconnect. And I really like really like that as a new kind of order takes over, there's always going to be a blind eye somewhere because of the focus of, oh my God, it's new and we're going to be this new kind of galaxy. And then at the same time, you have these Outer Rim planets of like, oh, the Empire can't help us. And how do you say the New Republic can? And then I love the Navarro development of the school, and then like having to like kind of pick themselves up and, create this new environment for people in the Outer Rim is cool.
I agree. I think one of the big pluses, and it's a big generalization for the season itself, is that the scope is much bigger this season. And I specifically mentioned in my tweet, I'm like, the scope is bigger, and the connections between the episodes are much more. They flow much better than last season. Last season, I still liked last season, but you go from one mission where you need money to the next mission where you need money again. This one's like we're getting the same officers 3 episodes in a row now. It seems like same officers coming back. There's a connection. There's a flow to it. There's like a overarching arc that you can kind of start to see now. And the scope of the world is getting much bigger. And all these things are kind of like you can try to connect all these different plot lines with the New Republic, with Moff Gideon, with Baby Yoda, with Mando, and Bo-Katan now. Like all these things are trying to be connected, where you didn't really see that so much in season 1. And it's starting to become like an actual TV show. And I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really intrigued to see where things are going to go with the X-Wing pilots, because I'm shocked that they keep showing. Like as soon as they cut to that wide shot on the entrance to town, and you just see both X-Wings, I was like, what? We're like still doing this. Right. This is interesting. I wonder if we're actually going to like break into a thing of just like the Rebel are like continuing to pursue, because they were asking about Mando specifically in the Razor Crest. If maybe like they're gonna like start to really like deep dive into like his like why he's at such odds with the Empire, and like if the Baby Yoda is going to be like a factor to the rebellion as well.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point. I think it could show up next week because hint, I called the tracking beacon. I knew it. When she came into the room and she's like, we have tactics. I'm like, that's me. That is all me.
I forgot that you called that.
Yeah, go back to our last episode. Anyways,
somebody clip it out.
So I'm excited because this brings a lot of implications for both Ahsoka getting into the plot in a way that's not like obtrusive to be like, oh, I'm going to help you now, because I feel like it's going to be kind of an on-run situation. And these pilots could probably show up next week based on their kind of still, the Razor Crest is in another scenario again. We're kind of tracing the dots. If they show up next week and see Moff Gideon's ship or, whatever these weapons are on this planet, that could be more evidence for skirmishes and bigger Empire threats in the Outer Rim that maybe the New Republic is kind of distant on right now. And so I think that could tie into the more rebellion angle. I don't think it will like double down on that a lot. I think it would just be kind of subtext. But I think it would be cool to kind of have them keep showing up, or maybe they get blown up next week or something. I could see that happening as well.
I'm the opposite. I don't think they're going to show up next week. I feel like they might show up the week afterward, but next week really seems like a secluded episode with Mando, Ahsoka, maybe a little, what's it called? Similar to what we got this week with the cliffhanger between Moff Gideon. We might see like a big Imperial Star Destroyer over the planet, and then Ahsoka and Mando are like, crap, we've been found, and then credits or something like that.
So you think multiple Ahsoka episodes, or?
Great question.
Because now
I'm torn between what I want and what I think is going to happen.
We were also hearing just in like a new report, because we've read it in chat, and spoiler if you don't want to know, and if you're somehow avoiding, the chapter title and runtime for the next episode of Mando is said to be 58 minutes long, and it is apparently titled The Jedi, which is
I wonder what he's referring to. Is that Mando? Bo-Katan?
I mean, but also to that point, it's interesting because, like, from the thought point of like, well, Ahsoka's not really a Jedi anymore, stuff like that. Which they not only like was like a main topic in Rebels, but like they reaffirmed that in trying to like convince the Order 66 troops in Clone Wars.
Yeah. it's funny because I think this is all from Mando's perspective too. So he thinks she's a
that's what I
Jedi.
was
He
gonna
doesn't
say.
really know. I beat you.
And again, it's gonna
Live
be
action
something he's
Luke.
gonna.
No, okay.
It's this thing that Star Wars has
Evan, you're
been
gonna
exploring
see it and
lately.
you're gonna like freak out.
No,
I'm gonna be like, I'm out.
No, you're
But
gonna
Star
watch
Wars has
like,
been-
well,
I know. Yeah, I'm lying.
Sebastian's fan. No.
no. I think Star Wars has been done a good job of what is I gonna say? Like challenging who people think their heroes are in the sense of meeting these people for the first time. And I think the post Return of the Jedi era is like the perfect example of that, even though we haven't got a lot of it yet. And so it's gonna be cool because it's just gonna be another sense of extremism or neglecting that extremism, because arguably the myth of the Jedi, that extremism and inward kind of political battle that basically blinded them, we talk about it often,
all the time. Yeah.
has basically led to their downfall, and it led off a series of events that made this galaxy like it. The Empire being gone, but it's still resurging off the consequences that essentially started way back Order 66. So I'm curious to see Ahsoka's mentality, because I think it's going to not only surprise Mando but also challenge him towards his own ambitions and kind of understanding and acceptance or neglecting of his own creed. And I think it's going to just be another angle that's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to the Last Jedi press machine, where Daisy Ridley in every interview was like, well, meeting your heroes is not what it seems. It's like she said that in every single interview. I'm like, Daisy, do you have any other quote you can use, please?
And people were still shocked to like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
Luke's
People
not
were
gonna
still
trade?
shocked. I'm like, come on, guys. She's been saying
What
this
do you
for
mean
months.
he threw the lightsaber?
Like, oh, when you meet your heroes, it's not what it turns out to be. Oh. I'm
Sign
like,
this
yeah.
petition, remake it.
Yeah. Stop. But yeah, I agree everything with Carson was saying. I think he's going to positively neglect his creed in a way. I think positively neglect, like saying, like, I need to take this guy to the Jedi. That's my only creed. That's my mission. I'm like, no, you have a bigger mission at hand here, and it's starting to come into fruition here with taking care of the Baby Yoda itself, establishing Mandalore. Stuff like
You
that.
imagine seeing a scene with a triumphant Ludwig score of him just deciding to remove the helmet, like in
it's 100%
battle or
happening.
something. I know, but just imagining it with the score backing and everything. Oh, it's such a moment.
People love that Ludwig score.
And
Speaking of removing helmets, we got a hint of
the sip.
The sip.
2 sips.
You guys are killing me with the sip.
No, it's so funny that I'm literally just like, oh, like at just the sight of Pedro's chin. That's it. Like,
Right. No, and even
was that Pedro, by the way?
Baby.
Yeah,
That's what I was wondering. I was like,
it didn't look like Pedro. I was like, please.
Baby Yoda's doing the same thing. Baby Yoda's going like, and I'm sitting there at my TV like trying to get a better angle, like it's a Quibi where I can like.
they do it
adjust my
twice
screen.
too, and I'm just like, oh, I'm like, just
Carson,
do it.
Did you full screen it? Did you?
I'm sitting there with my controller. I'm like, can I
Enhance.
zoom in?
Oh, that's funny.
Minority Report computer just.
Yeah, I didn't pause it, but it looked like an average white guy. I'm like, is that Pedro? I don't think. I mean, it has to be, right? He's not doing any
I
action
think it is.
scenes.
I think it's Pedro. I mean, well, yeah. Let's actually like properly run through the episode. So,
yeah.
Baby Yoda's very baby Groot in this episode. Just trying to figure out what's the right thing to press. Within
That
the
was very
small
funny.
corridor.
I had a question. I'm like, how do you switch that if he didn't have Baby Yoda? Does he just say like he just leaves it to engineers or something, or
Gotta get a Jawa in there or something.
get a Java in there?
I was like
Gotta be
trying to
another
figure
way
out.
to get in there.
He has like a long stick, like one of those grabby sticks that you got, like.
Oh yeah.
He used like a mirror reflection, like, oh, it's got it.
I imagine there's another like service patch or something, but you probably had to like disassemble it completely from the other side. You didn't want to do that because it's broken.
True.
Mid space in this horrible patch job. It's funny because I never probably think, because I just think like, oh yes, this is a child, even if he is 50 years, it's like it's a baby. But the fact that like he has such comprehension of things, I'm like, wow, this is Fascinating. Look at him learn. Look at him go.
Yeah, it was very fast.
like,
So he has
like we're watching him raise. Like,
yeah, it was very interesting. He has like comprehension of the colors of like what to do, what not to do. I'm like, okay, so this guy's pretty intelligent to a degree, but he also not.
Yeah.
So
because I
it's very
remember last
interesting.
episode when he drops him off at the Frog family, he's just like, mind your manners. I'm like, is he even retaining that at all? Like, probably was.
Yeah, I guess I guess he probably was. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was a cool start to the episode. Seeing the whole patch job with the ship. Again, words for wear. It was very funny when he like even climbed out of the ship. He couldn't even close the door.
Yeah,
or
the
door
door.
ramp.
I thought
Yeah.
it was gonna fall while he was getting down. Really
Me
did.
too. but no.
Oh man. But yeah,
then-
the city of Navarro is quite bustling. It's like a full market now.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we pass over when what's it called? Cara Dune was in that old Mando area.
That's all right.
Um,
No, okay. yeah. It's no that was interesting because I was surprised that she was made an official marshal of the town.
yeah.
When they name dropped that, and I'm just like, they really love their marshals in this season, huh?
Yeah, me too. I'm like, you couldn't come up with a better word. Like you say sheriff or I don't know.
The marshal,
Like, how many marshals are in this sector? I mean, geez.
Cobb Vamp.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was cool to see them back on screen, and I really like Grief Karga as a character.
He
I
is
think
such
it's cool.
a grandfather. Like Raven,
I know.
where he's just like
He's like,
asking about-
oh, you have been taking good care of him or whatever. And then they go back to like that office place, or they go to the school first, which
The
awesome
school?
little references here with
I
boasting a
didn't catch
protocol
that.
droid, and then they shouted out the Kessel and the Maw actually when they were pointing at the map,
yeah.
which
I
was
didn't pick
cool.
up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Amazing.
she says it straight out, and then of
I think I was
course,
paying attention. Like, look at Baby Yoda in a school seat. Like, I
was so
and all the
adorable.
kids were like whispering at him, like, "Oh my god, this is like," because they're all human too, and then Baby Yoda is like this little alien baby, and I'm like, "Oh, they think he's different."
and this kid next to him is just like not even like a different type of food. It's just like neon glowing macaroons straight
Yeah.
up.
We need to talk about this. This is crazy to me. I paused the TV show. I was like, this is breaking the Star Wars universe here. This changes everything. You have macaroons here. Where does it stop? Are we going to have steak in one episode? Are we going to have like shrimp pasta and just name it something else? Just color it blue and be like, oh, this is the Star Wars universe. Like, those are straight up macaroons. Those are
I want to highlight and answer. I think I can answer this comment. I think people are moving here because they were even like addressing that as soon as they get the Empire out here, there could be like a full operation trading outpost. So I'm pretty sure they already got like the start of it.
The whole thing with the green zone too, talking about how basically it's a not only safe passage but sanctuary for anyone and everyone. It's kind of like just seems like a hub of the Outer Rim, which makes it appealing, and I guess probably word of mouth spreads with these people. So that's what I interpreted as it. It's not like a tourist destination. It's just kind of the natural occurrence of like, hey, the Empire threat has lifted off here. Have you heard about Navarro? Obviously, everyone's bounty hunters and black market traders, and everybody is kind of talking with, as we saw a lot last season. Like, someone knows something or someone knows anything. It's just kind of back and forth. So that's what I kind of guessed at.
Yeah. I think the main part is just safety. Like, if you're traveling in the Outer Rim, you're like, there's not a lot of place to go. When am I going to go to Tatooine? I'm like, I think Navarro is more of a safer place. They know the Empire is out of there, or the Empire remnant is out of there, and a lot of good trade stuff there. So yeah, pretty good. And they have a good school, I hear.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to discuss like the old sewer area for the Mandos. It felt so like bizarre seeing like the old imprint where the Mythosaur head was. Okay, so I know the armor was like melting down the different armors. Do you think she melted that down too? And
good question.
If so,
Wait, what do you mean?
Why? It's such a good set piece. Like just like the like big old Mythosaur head that was hanging above the chamber.
I thought that was
like
a painting.
No, it was like an imprint of like where the like how you see like old signs get taken down. Like it's been there for so long.
Oh, there was an actual like object
from the first
head
season.
there.
That's what it
Oh,
looked
I
like.
thought the paint. I thought it was just the
it was a
paint.
big No, it was a big silver mold. It could have been Beskar itself.
Yeah, it looked like a mold. So maybe she took it with her, put it in her backpack or something.
Because if she melted that down, like I feel like, oh man, but it was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, also interesting to see like a little Star Wars like meerkat. It looked like when it
Yeah, that was cool.
as soon as it was standing up, I was like, oh cool, Timon's
Do you
here.
guys think that was all CGI or was that puppet? What do you think?
I think it was puppet. It looked pretty jittery enough.
I couldn't
Could have
tell.
been a blend.
Yeah, it could have been a blend. It looked very CGI to me, but I'm like, oh, it could also be a puppet. Star Wars is really good at their effects this season, so couldn't really tell.
I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
they get like overly puppeted. Like I remember a couple moments from the season with a Baby Yoda like running or something, and it's just like that is a puppet they are marionetting. But it's
I still
charming.
think
Though.
I still think it's a little wonky when any character picks up Baby Yoda from somebody else. It kind of loses the mysticism to me. Like when he hands
It's
it to
just like-
somebody, it's like very much just like a package. Like
He's like,
I can't explain it, but anytime they're handing it off to somebody,
I know what
it
you
kind
mean.
of loses it. But all the other instances just look so good that I just kind of like it's just a natural occurrence, and I'd much rather have those in little thing with the hands moving in the shaft and doing all those things in camera is so cool to see. And then if I have one or two instances where it doesn't necessarily convince me 100%, I'm fine because I just think the puppet is so cool.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely. But then we get beyond the school, and then we meet up with the Mithril.
I think
Blue
that's
guy?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, blue guy.
Carson's favorite character.
Oh yeah, Misty neck.
How did that? He evaporated or something, or like
That was disgusting.
let water out of his gills, or I don't know what he did.
I don't want to
I
offend
mean-
his entire species.
Is that how he passes gas? Is like that was the joke? I don't know.
I thought he was like nervous, like because Mando was.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I mean. Because normally, like in instances where they do like a thing like that, where it's like something, or just like releasing something real quick. That's what it is.
It reminded me of one of those weird like creatures from Rock Bottom and SpongeBob.
It was the octopus from Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of too. Yes. Oh, good Finding Nemo pool. Great job.
Hello. But yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
he's
so.
back.
Yeah, he's back. Just being funny. But he's not adding like too much to the plot. But I'm sure Carl Weathers having fun directing the humor with it all.
Yeah, the humor between him and Grieve Karga was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, he was his bit, like the rest. Like the entire episode, he was just like telling him what to do the entire time. It was very funny.
He's got effectively the life debt, I guess. But
I know, basically he was like, you have 300 years. I'm like, you basically have him as your slave. It was pretty funny.
but I'll knock 100 off.
I'm like, oh, thank you very much. I know.
Yeah, what's their lifespan? But yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
But okay, so there's not too much except that they're just setting up the plan to go assault the base. So let's just get to the base itself, doing recon to break in. And they do set up from the get-go like the troop transport that they're going to escape in later, which I was just like thinking about. That's one of the only remainder scenes in the trailer that has not happened. Just like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
and they
we'll
saw the
talk about
speeder
that.
bikes too, all parked.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's all gearing up. It's all
Mhm.
We got some of the comedy between the Mithril and getting in, and then they get up through the elevator, and we see
Oh, the lava
the stormtroopers
shutdown.
out. I love the stormtroopers get knocked out, and he's like, "Empty base, huh?" And Grieve Karga's like, I don't know."
But it was so great when they go to like shut down the or like overheat the lava flats on the interior reactor shield, because like they're telling the Mithril to go do it, and he's like complaining, and like first time Star Wars ever addresses, he's like, there's not even any guardrails. Like
That was too funny. Yeah, there's never any guardrails to anything. Kylo just killed Han with no guardrails.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that he just goes do that. I think it had like the same like look and sound effect from what Obi-Wan did in New Hope.
Yeah.
Always great to see fan service callbacks. But then they're
Oh,
running
also,
off.
real quick, in terms of Grief Karga's whole mission with destroying the whole base here, did he just want it destroyed, or did he not? I think he mentioned like there were some weapons that he might want.
I
So
don't
did I
think. I
mishear
think
that?
I think they were just looking over. I remember the whole weapons debacle from the last episode of Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
But I think this one they were just trying to make it a thing to. They were talking about like selling black market stuff.
Yeah, that's why I got confused. I was like, are they going to sell anything? And they just blew everything up, or?
I think they got to a point where like we just need to leave. So they were like, all right, yeah, let's just overheat everything, blow up, so that way. The last remaining Imperial occupation is gone from the planet, and we're truly free, and we could become part of like the neutral trading outpost.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then earlier he also mentioned there's a skeleton crew, and then they get there, and then they're surprised that there's people there. Didn't he mention there's a skeleton crew?
I
Or
just
did I
figured they'd
mishear
see
that?
like, do you not see the holograms in like the lower levels underneath? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I mean, it seemed like
Well,
they
I
thought there
think
was
they
going
were
to be empty or
surprised that there
something.
was they were surprised that there was like defensive forces there, not
Oh,
like
okay. Now, like,
not just like the guy in
personnel.
the
I do
the
find
guy
it.
up where like Cara Dune choked him out, like those kind of people.
Oh, okay.
I do find it continuously interesting that every time we come to a point of Imperial occupation of these different locations, there's so like little amount of troops because of like the post Emperor world we're living in.
Yeah, totally. You can
Yes.
kind of see that.
Which ties in to what Moff Gideon is doing.
Yeah,
It
let's
makes
talk
sense.
about the laboratory. I didn't pick up on like what I was even properly seeing, but based on so we're gonna dive into this theory.
Let's
And
do
it's
it.
everyone's favorite theory since pre TLJ. It's good old Snoke theories.
Wait, what?
No, people are saying because of like the look of the development of like the scar along this cloning tank that it's a test to develop a Snoke because the Empire
What?
wants the Empire
Wait, you didn't
is
see
trying,
that?
No, I didn't think of the Snoke thing.
there and
It looks
okay, so
exactly
let me-
like Snoke.
I wouldn't say
It-
exactly
it
because
looked
it's
an
like
alien.
it's deformed. Yeah, I can't tell it's Snoke, but like it's only because I see the scarness, and also to pair this other info that I'm gonna dish out right now. When they go through the hologram message from the Camino Doctor from the first episode, the first season, they start going on about how like they need the child for these developments, which is like a big theory we've all had.
Yeah,
But they're
definitely.
also going on about like the M count, which would be the midichlorian
Mhm.
count. So I think pairing all that together is like what they're trying to do is take not. So I initially thought it was like we're cloning Baby Yodas, but no, we're trying to
That's gonna be
develop
awesome.
force sensitive clones, to develop, which I think is now, which is fascinating because I didn't think this would happen, and apparently like everybody in the group chat is saying like, or a couple of them were like, haha, we knew it, that the Empire is trying to fast track the development of the resurrection of Palpatine. So it's kind of a Tross connection.
That's
Uh,
BS.
I don't know. I'm kind of convinced
What?
now.
Okay,
Complete
here's
BS.
my. I initially I'm like, oh my god, is this like a early version of it where it would make sense because like of the Empire,
We got
like
25
especially
years.
with Palpatine doing all these. I mean, Palpatine's whole existence is essentially like, how can I maximize and keep my power eternal forever and ever? And you know, we see it in like trying to find force artifacts or develop all these kind of things. But now that's what I thought at first. I'm like, it could be an early version of it, and it still could. But now I'm thinking more specifically to Moff Gideon and what Nathan just said in terms of the Empire is short on troops. They don't have a lot of things, and so streamlining some sort of process of this force-sensitive threat and being able to tailor that and mass produce it is terrifying.
That's what I'm thinking.
Which I think I think that's the angle that's probably going to focus on the most. It could
Yes.
like tie in implications later, but I don't think it matters right now.
This is funny. This is why I love listening to these theories live instead of like,
Yeah.
because I've never heard like this whole Snoke or Palpatine, because the important people are gone. It's important to know
Right.
Moff Gideon is not important to the Star Wars story at large. Like I
Right,
don't
yeah.
think he cares about Palpatine. I don't think he cares about resurrecting Palpatine or Snoke.
Mhm.
Those guys,
Live
the people that
the
care,
Empire.
the people that care about that are in the unknown regions. They're long
Right.
gone.
And that's why I think it is. That's why I think it is separate. And I want to mention what Alex said on his Star Wars Explained review today.
Yeah,
he thinks it is a really high potential that Moff Gideon is looking to find some way where he could, with this M count or something, artificially become force sensitive.
Yeah,
which would be a really cool angle because this whole power vacuum of like, obviously Moff Gideon probably understands that whoever has, that kind of power obviously rules. And with the Empire so dire in the corner, in the Outer Rim right now, that could be the through line. And I think the troopers or whatever we see at the end is kind of like one of the steps that he's kind of taking to having these artificial troops or like some more power that he has now.
It's very funny that Alex said that because my brother and I started theorizing, and then we said like he's given those clones like force sensitive powers, but I think he also wants to have maybe some force sensitive powers too. If you add on to what Giancarlo was saying in the lead up to season 2 of Mando, he was saying like, maybe remember people had theories that he was teasing that he had force powers.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was the case, but this does lead some credence to him maybe having some down the lane. I don't think that's going to be the case. Like whenever you try and mess with the force, it always bites back. It's like it's never as easy as like injection.
And Alex was saying like it's ironic because oddly enough, like we know anyone can tap into the force if they open themselves up to it in a certain way, and
anyone.
To some extent, like not like every, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, though. Like it's like the force is a natural thing. It's not like I'm just gonna hit this button and become Ben 10 force, whatever.
I like the tree, the rock, everything. Yeah.
Right, but he was also saying that it would be interesting with Ahsoka because seeing Ahsoka, I don't know if she's gonna mow down or have to defend from these troops. But it would make him jealous. It would make him think that, this Jedi, I want that. And I think that I've always said that Moff Gideon is kind of just like a figurehead that kind of seems like he's faking it till he makes it. And I think that's just a continued angle of that. And I would love to see that continued.
And again, that's what makes Moff Gideon so good in terms of the whole context of the story. He's not important. And so I think Jon Favreau is really inputting that into his character, where he's like, even in this kind of like Outer Rim area, like Grief Karga is even talking about it, how the Outer Rim is so like sparse and there's nobody can even gain control of it. I think Moff Gideon is that leader where he's like, it's hard to gain control. I have this Darksaber, but I'm trying to exude this authority even though I don't have that much. I mean, we know he is like some kind of like threatening figure, as we saw in the last episode where the guy committed suicide rather than go see Moff Gideon, which is pretty important.
And in this episode too, we see he somehow has this hold over his direct troops that destroy the files, destroy the drives, and they're shooting at the drives instead of shooting at Grief Karga and Cara Dune, which is kind of crazy to see.
Which goes to show how much power this guy has.
I mean, that kind of, I feel like, aids the Snoke theory. It's hard to say Snoke theory.
There is no Snoke theory.
There is though, because I mean,
these guys are not important.
Because meanwhile, I know Carson's bringing up like a Giancarlo quote interviews, but like if I bring up like Jon Favreau quote interviews, he's talking about how they're going to dive into the origins of the First Order. So
they're going to dive into the origin of the First Order by just simply saying, "Hey guys, the rest of the Empire, they're in the unknown regions." Boom. That's diving into the First Order.
First Order.
That's it.
Supreme leader.
That's it. Nobody is. Okay. At this point.
I will say, I do think.
Jesus.
Maybe both. I love the story that you guys are pitching for the Grief Karga, not Grief Karga, the Moff Gideon storyline. I think
that's 80% going to happen. He's gonna want himself to be a clone or to be force sensitive, and he's gonna inject those new black stormtroopers or whatever with some kind of M count DNA stuff going on.
That's another thing I want to dive into in a sec. But so like just going off, stick with me. All right.
I'm here for the ride. I got nowhere else to be.
I'm here for the ride, but I want off. All right.
I got nowhere else to go.
All right. So I don't know. I feel like there's like a whole instance of just like going off the last episode. I think he does have like a care for the Empire, just from the factor of like the fact that he is like enforcing the troops. Long live the Empire. Like follow these ways. Don't let the secret. Don't let the secret out. And I feel like what bigger secret than like the resurrection of said Emperor? Like that seems like a really like big through line, especially if people are like acting in such cultish ways. Just like destroy the evidence. Don't defend my own life. Stuff like that.
You
and
know what?
Also,
That's a good point. Because
and I was also sorry,
I just quickly before you dive back into, I was just saying because he could just say that too. It'd be utterly compelling for him to just be like, "Oh, we have to make sure that our emperor lives on." Like basically just grasping for his own power, and really he could be doing all this for himself, which I think is an aspect that we shouldn't overlook.
He's selfish. These are Empire. They're selfish. I don't think he cares about that. But
what's funny is like we say all this stuff, but like at the end of the day, we don't have that deep dive of the character of Moff Gideon at all.
You're completely
We've
right.
seen so little. I feel like we're just projecting like the coolest ideas.
I have so high expectations for Giancarlo.
But I find it's interesting because I feel like every like review I'm seeing from everybody that's looking at like the lineup of troops at the end, like seem to instantly recognize that they're a type of droid. But I thought they were like, but to me, like they did look like suits. And what I was initially theorizing before I even heard all the Snoke stuff was that maybe they're like actually properly developed creatures of the clone we saw in the tube that like was actually a success.
Let me pull this up for you guys. I want to screen share something.
Oh, perfect.
Because people were... It's from Legends, but it's called the Dark Trooper. And
here we go again. Legends. I hate that.
No, but it actually...
Well, hey, Mr. Rebels fan, you know what they did?
It's like it's just a loose type of droids.
What do you mean? What droids and Rebels? What are you talking about?
Like the Dark Troopers when they're doing that heist. That troop that. So they're talking about the droid on the left for the Mando episode, but the droid on the right was in Rebels.
So there's like these three phases essentially, and then I want to find what I'm looking at.
Phase 1, I guess.
So it talks about this research station and the technology that was used to transform Anakin into Darth Vader, building these clone troopers that are like clone trooper veterans into gruesome cyborgs. These are also called Phase 0 Dark Troopers. As the Empire started to become less dependent on its clone troopers, the Phase 0 project declined and was eventually shut down, but the efficiency of a cybernetic soldier had become apparent to most, including the man overseeing the space station, who is just some guy in Legends. But it would be cool because I guess it comes up again, and I think to be one way to sneak it into canon and do whatever you want with it.
I think I love this idea. I think that makes the most sense.
And they got grenades, thermal detonators, they got all sorts of stuff equipped on them, assault cannons.
It seems very grounded, which I like. I don't want to bash on the Snoke thing, but I think this one seems very more grounded in like they're just cybernetic cyborgs that are strong and that they can throw a lot of like
here we go.
Grenades out.
I think Nathan's right. See these Phase 3 Dark Troopers? I think it's like a suit. This is very cheesy, of course, but I think it's like some sort of suit which would be an armor of the next generation. This line right here, an armor of the next generation of stormtroopers. I think that's probably a likely possibility.
I didn't even think that they were droids. That was very fascinating that people were thinking that.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I was kind of like looking like the only thing I can get from a droid shape is I guess maybe like the fingers seemed kind of like rigid, but I feel like a person could fit in there. They look like mech suits.
So are we thinking the plan is like to use that whole DNA thing for the people in these suits? Are those two connected?
I was essentially initially, before I heard the Snoke stuff, I was initially thinking like, okay, so they're probably like a form of like super soldier type.
And he wants those people to have that Baby Yoda DNA?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible since like because I think because that's what I was saying is like because again before I heard the Snoke stuff, what I was thinking is like since the scientist was saying he wasn't able to extract enough of the blood from the child because like it would have died and they would have lost their resource. that they were like really limited. I know they're running tests, but I feel like I was pitching is like the failed clone we were seeing in the pod. The troops we see at the end are a successful version of those that probably were administrated the blood that they had from Baby Yoda, like all that they had. So they have a limited squadron currently, but Moff Gideon probably wants to make a like full battalion army.
Yeah, I love that idea. It seems very goofy but Star Warsy, but it works. It's very grounded at the same time.
You know how many super lasers we have in Star Wars?
Yeah, no more freaking big Star Killer bases or whatever.
Battering ram, miniaturized Death Star tech.
Right. Oh, God, I would have left the room.
I think
that wasn't TLJ, sir.
No, I mean like in terms of big lasers.
No, there it's good.
I mean that one in TLJ, it was pretty grounded. It was just one big laser that opened up a door. It didn't destroy a planet.
But I mean, I'd also argue that feels like a natural progression to like miniaturize it to like Star Destroyers.
Yeah, that's true.
In TROS. So
yeah, true.
Do we think that Ahsoka hearing about this threat towards the child, not knowing the full extent of it, obviously, because that hologram was brief and like don't know all the details, and obviously we don't know all the details as the audience of what exactly the end game is with Baby Yoda, but with Ahsoka being a obviously force sensitive and high M count being, I hate that I'm even saying that word.
Midichlorian.
Midichlorians aren't bad. People give them a bad rap.
Do you think that
it's not a bad word? You can say it.
Do you think Ahsoka is going to see a little bit of herself in Baby Yoda, like that he's being groomed and manipulated towards something that he has no control over? And I don't think she would want to help initially because just of where she is in her journey. But this could be something that could compel her a little bit.
Carson, why do you always have to be right? I think the thing is, I for 100%, she's not taking care of Baby Yoda. But when you think of like this Force, people trying to use aspects of the Force for dark means, Ahsoka's not going to like that at all. Like it's just bad. Like she can't just turn a blind eye to people manipulating the Force in a scientific way, in a bad way, in order to conquer people. Ahsoka's not going to like that. So going back to what you said earlier, Nathan, like, is Ahsoka going to be in more than one episode? I think she might be in terms of turning down this project that Moff Gideon is trying to start here. Which goes to show, like, is this a one-season project? If Ahsoka takes it out in this season?
I don't know.
I don't know. I have a pitch of what could happen in regards to the next episode and the remainder of the season. And that's an interesting thing that we're going to get into, because as of right now, everything we're going off of is just like plot we have from the first half of the season. We have no footage to go off of now.
I can find you some footage. I can make some footage up real quick.
No. Yeah, here's a leaked Boba Fett.
Boba Fett fan film.
God.
Here we go.
Boba Fett Stormtrooper Rebellion. You never knew it was going to happen.
Force sensitive Boba Fett. Let's go. He's going to get in there, get a shot from the lab, inject himself.
I have a bad image of my head of just a scene with Boba Fett in the Star Destroyer standing across Moff Gideon next to Ahsoka and Bo-Katan in a dark saber. I'm like, disgusting.
I need someone, if not myself, to clip the moment you just see me just now, where my eyes just bugged out of my head. I just got an idea for my theory of the remainder of the season. It's not involving, but even Boba Fett though, so don't worry. So now I'm gonna roll this out. I'm going to take.
Real quick though, did Alex think they were droids or armor at the end there? What did he say?
Well, interestingly enough, if you watch the episode and you turn on descriptive audio, the descriptive audio explicitly calls them Dark Troopers at the very end.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the thing I saw go around on Twitter.
If you watch the last sentence, which basically describes like what the characters are doing on screen. It's like an Imperial officer browses over the shiny black armor of Dark Troopers or something. I can't remember what it says, but it does say Dark Troopers.
Okay.
So
I'm still
we'll see.
Droids.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
I guess they're droids. All right, but they're built different. Anyway,
Dark Troopers. I like that.
All right, so for theorizing, I guess we could all dive in our theories, but now I guess I'll break down mine. What I think is going to happen, I think we're definitely going to go to the forest planet in the city of Corvus, where we will find Ahsoka. I don't know if Sabine will be there. I like to theorize maybe just because, again, the hunt for Ezra. And
They
I guess
forgot
we'll
about
find
poor
out.
Ezra.
I forget. We'll
No.
find out where we are in the timeline, really.
Wouldn't
all
it be
that.
fascinating
Finally.
though if all
You're
of the
right.
Rebel sequel was like pre-Mando?
At this point, that would make more sense to me because it just seems weird to just like, oh, forget Ezra. I don't
For
know.
5 years.
For 5 years.
Not even just
But also
5 years.
that-
5 years on top of the original trilogy, so 10 years.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that mean? Wouldn't that mean Ezra would be possibly in this show then, though?
Or Thrawn?
Oh my
Dude,
God.
if the finale was that, but that's not where I'm going.
Where's
with
Thrawn? Yeah. Anyways, yeah. This
Okay.
is crazy.
None of that is Rebel theory. I was
Yeah.
fascinated to think like what even would be Sabine's like function, because I would love for her to have Bo-Katan scenes, because I would like to see Bo-Katan back in the season. Anyway, what I think, episode 5. I think since we set up the tracking beacon on the Razor Crest, I think we're going to get, and since it's presumably a 58-minute episode, I think we're going to get like a big old like confrontation of kind of like a mid-season finale, even though we just had that. But I feel like we're gonna like enter like this big battle, because I'm going off of other like interview stuff of just like Moff Gideon like breaking dark sabers on set. I feel like there's might be a confrontation of things between Ahsoka and him. Obviously that seems so ridiculous, but also now that we're hearing these theories of like using the child's blood and stuff, and if he has that like obsession of force, maybe that could be a potentially fun reveal if they go that route. I don't know, but I think there's going to be a big conflict, a battle on this forest planet with the
in episode 5.
You're seeing all this in episode 5.
I think we could see all this go down in episode 5 in terms of like confronting these troops of Moff Gideon. It would be insane if that happens, and one of the best birthday presents I could receive. But
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. We'll get there. I'll do a show then. But yeah, it's something I don't know how everything's gonna go down, but with when we see like how big of an adventure we can go on in such like small amount of time frames, like taking down an entire Imperial ship in like half an hour last episode.
Right.
You never know like where things are going to go and like these setups. And even like with this episode, which was like 10 minutes less, we're just going through like, oh yeah, look at this small town, but also here's a big reveal of like the Imperial cloning. Like we really have no idea how things are going to go. But I think we were talking previously about a theory about whether or not Baby Yoda would be captured by the Empire. And I feel like if he does not get captured as a season finale cliffhanger, I think there's a good possibility that he could end up kidnapped this coming episode, and we have to get him back by the finale.
This sounds like a packed episode.
Interesting.
And if we have to work to get him back by the finale, then maybe we do another like ensemble group of trying to infiltrate, because I imagine that we'll break off and Ahsoka will be back on her track with Ezra, and I imagine maybe she's on this side planet of Corvus.
I would love that.
Because maybe she has a lead there to find Ezra, and that's why she's stationed there for a bit before she has to take off. So I think she'll
leave
diverge
6 years later.
It's a long journey, who knows? But I think we're going to diverge that path. So she'll be back to the Rebel sequel. We'll be back with Mando, and then maybe he has to get his group together of like Cobb Vanth, Bo-Katan, Fennec Shan, who knows? But and you know, just try to work to get the child back by the finale, because if we don't, who's to say what?
I like that theory. It seems crowded. I think I do like the idea that Baby Yoda could get taken before the finale. I've been calling it that it's going to be taken in the finale, but having the rest of the season, him trying to take back Baby Yoda makes a lot of sense as well. I'd say 50-50 between finale or next episode, or even episode 6.
Yeah.
It just in general before the finale. I think this
because it's like a long time to be captured, right?
Yeah, even if it's like episode 7 or something, like I can see Baby Yoda getting taken before the finale. If not, then he's definitely getting taken during the finale.
Could you imagine if they actually like God, it'd be
But
so cool if like this whole like last 4 episodes broke into like a style like they did with the Clone Wars finale, where like the last 4 episodes felt like just like part after part of like a cinematic film. Like obviously it wouldn't, because it's just a baseline show and it's not like a series finale. But the fact that we've not seen any footage and they're hiding so much, like imagine if like the chain of events were just happening like back to back to back, so that if Baby Yoda was captured, then it doesn't feel like there's so much more time spread out because we're constantly on the move to try to get him back.
yeah,
And that could really happen too, because now that I'm thinking about this, I think a key development between Ahsoka actually caring about the conflict would be seeing the child being ripped out from that instance and seeing how Din would react to that. I think explicitly seeing that would be a powerful narrative kind of moment at the end of episode 5. But I'm thinking it's gonna be like, 30 minutes of mostly like going around this planet and talking, kind of a slower episode. But those last 10 to 15 minutes could be just a full out action scene. TIE fighters coming down, surrounding wherever they are. Kind of an image of like, hey, you're surrounded.
We've upgraded from
Give
one
us a
TIE fighter
child.
to 4 this season.
Right, like something, just like an upgrade in scale of that. So I'm curious to see, because I think, like both of you guys have said, I think both options work. I think I'm gonna have a better idea of it though if it doesn't happen in episode 5, based on what Ahsoka thinks of all this. I'm torn between like her being in multiple episodes or her just kind of being this one to maybe 1.5 episode kind of thing, because it's still up in the air for me, and I have to be convinced.
You're right. I think Nathan's theory and the theory that I'm having right now of like him trying to give Baby Yoda to Ahsoka, but then Ahsoka being like, I don't want it, but I need to help take down Moff Gideon's thing. She can't really do that.
And
She's in
her friend
one
Bo-Katan
episode.
too. You have to remember that there's a double-edged thing here of he has the dark saber. Obviously, that means something to Ahsoka by association of just being aware of these things.
Yeah, she's gonna be like, that does not belong to you. That could be fascinating.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
And imagine like the gut punch of like the end of the next episode being like, they do have Baby Yoda and like they're trying to like pursue him to get before he gets to the cruiser, and like they dock and like they're just about to get, but then it like jumps to hyperspace and you just cut back to Mando.
I've
helmet,
seen
but
that
he's
so
just
vividly.
like no, and then it just like director Dave Filoni and just like, oh my god,
I would lose my
the
mind.
audience.
That'd be pretty crazy.
I would lose it.
I think because the more I theorize, the more I think like Ahsoka has to be in all 4 episodes. But I'm trying to think of an out for Ahsoka where she doesn't appear in any other episode besides next week. Because all
really
the
want to get her
reports,
out of there.
no, I don't. But like a lot of the reports said she's going to be in like 1 episode, and then it's going to lead to her spin-off show, that kind of like a soft what's it called? Like a soft backdoor pilot.
Backdoor pilot. God,
I hate that word.
That's a real thing, Carson.
Every year.
I don't want it, but like, yeah,
I don't want it, but that's what they were
Rebels
theorizing.
sequel.
Yeah, people kept saying like,
Got a
this could be a
Cara backdoor pilot. We're going to
anymore.
Boba Fett
yeah.
backdoor pilot.
I don't know
Ahsoka
about
backdoor pilot.
Yeah.
Crew member. Game
So,
of Thrones coffee cup pilot.
Katie Sackhoff was asked about the Cara Dune Bo-Katan spinoff. She was like,
I didn't even know that was a thing. I knew there was a Cara Dune spinoff. I didn't know there was a Bo-Katan and Cara Dune. Was that a thing?
She was like, I'm waiting.
I
don't know, man.
That makes no sense. I think that's a non-zero sum. Anyways,
Right.
I'm trying to think of an out where she doesn't appear in anything else besides this episode, and I can't really think of anything. If like what I'm thinking, Baby Yoda gets captured then, or even if he doesn't. I mean, like I think if he doesn't get captured, I think there's an out where she's like, she tells Mando like, your job is to team back up with my friend Bo-Katan and do what's right and take out Moff Gideon's new project while I help look for a certain friend, aka Ezra, or I help do my Jedi duties or whatever she wants to do with the Force.
Yeah.
So I think there is a way where she doesn't appear in any other episode, but I also wouldn't be surprised at all if she appears in episodes 5, 6, and 7, or 8, or the next 2 or 3. Because I think we are going to see Bo-Katan again. Katie Sackhoff did some interviews saying like she's integral to the future of the show.
They're like really diving, like they set up like the reclaiming Mandalore, which would be a big storyline to follow through.
Big storyline. I think that's a big storyline for
and the Darksaber stuff too. Like she's obsessed right now, and we talked about kind of the ins and outs of that of what that means for her character, and I think that's a fascinating angle. Just as well as her coming face to face with the Death Watch / Armorer people. We haven't seen that creative wherever they escape to this season, which I still think is a high possibility that comes back into play as Din kind of changes throughout the season. But we'll see.
Did we say at one point, I don't know if it was like with Bo or Mando, if like at one point one of them gets the Darksaber and it's like an Elder Wand moment of like throwing it away.
Yeah,
I think we did.
I think they have to learn that the Darksaber isn't everything. I could be completely wrong, and the show really nails home that you need the Darksaber, but I just think thematically it would be cool if they didn't just use it.
It is funny how Bo-Katan calls out Mando for following like the ancient old ways that Death Watch. Meanwhile, the Darksaber,
right? And she's like,
right?
Oh my god, Darksaber, like,
yeah. Now you guys can follow me.
Granted, it's like ancestral to her, like a family line, right?
Yeah, but
technically, yeah.
It's
but like you don't need the Darksaber to unite your people. Your people aren't like just gonna magically follow you just because you have a black sword.
I'm just still so curious to see what happened between Rebels and now that like she herself lost it, and if like Gideon was the one to take it.
Right. We don't know that story, and that's
I mentioned that in my notes here because she did an interview this week, and she said we will learn that. I don't know if she said we will learn that this season. I'm pretty sure we will. I bet like we get like a good 3-minute Cobb Vanth like flashback scene. It doesn't take that long.
Do you think Cobb Vanth comes back this season?
No. Yes. Finale. We got to rescue the child.
People always want these like Avengers, like where all your characters come back for one last hoorah at the end of the series. It's not happening.
Well, it's more like a.
You think he's done for the entire show? He just had one episode.
No, for the
season. I guess I never asked you that.
For the season.
For the season. Okay.
I mean, unless Fennec Shand comes back.
But I mean, even like the mechanic from the Gunslinger got like 2 more episode appearances than we would have ever expected. So who's to say?
I just don't want to go back to Tatooine, so that's just me. But also,
that's the thing, right?
Where's Boba Fett going?
Oh God. So do we think? So right now, plant your flag. Okay. Will we see Boba Fett in any of the upcoming episodes? Yes or no? I'm saying no.
I think this depends on plot because I really do want to stick with the whole thought process of like.
Me too, right?
Now with the development of this week, I'm so much less interested in even talking about him.
Right?
Yeah. But I still want to like hold on to that like ideology of between different Mandalorians of like honor versus just like just live your life like
very true. That's like the one intriguing thing about Boba Fett is like, especially when we just saw last week with him and Bo-Katan. It's like when you have him and Bo-Katan, him and Boba Fett, like talk about devil and angel on your shoulder. So
maybe
that could be interesting.
Go back to get Cobb Vanth. We'll get the confirmation for the confrontation. But,
I mean,
I'm trying.
Yeah, continue.
I'm trying to write in my head a scenario in which it gets Cobb Vanth off planet and engages Boba Fett into the plot. And it all leads back to goddamn Tatooine. And I can't think of a way, unless the Empire wipes out the mining town or whatever, somehow like that triggers Cobb Vanth to go find Mando and be like, hey, I need your help, or I want to join whatever you're doing because the Empire knocked out my thing.
Is something I need to see.
Wait, say it again?
Timothy Oliphant delivering a performance of vengeance is something I want to see.
That would be amazing. I mean, the only thing I can see that could be connecting him to this current storyline is a classic Empire Strikes Back reference where Moff Gideon hires Boba Fett to help take down Mando, or to help take Baby Yoda, and in return he can get his armor back or something like that.
I remember pitching a theory quite a bit ago where because of the kidnapping of the child, that Gideon would blackmail Mando into doing stuff for him in some sort of way. Which, dude, if they did
that's a good call, Nathan, because we haven't really talked about that quote from Giancarlo where he says he's a very manipulative villain.
And what if through that they set up like, all right, now it's Din versus Bo-Katan in that instance, like all right, you want this child to be delivered safely, you have to assure my escape from this Mandalorian.
Whoa, that would be crazy.
Dude. And then also Bo-Katan is like, so like she needs the Darksaber, she needs to save Mandalore stuff, and it's just like, this kid, whatever.
Yeah, you know what,
Nathan, that's a good plot line.
Hire me, Lucasfilm.
Nathan has good stories. I mean, I didn't like that Snoke thing, but this is pretty good.
It's not even mine. It wasn't even mine, but
oh, wasn't? Oh, wow.
No, that's
all right,
the internet.
Here's the through line with this. Mando and Baby Yoda get captured, and then we get an interrogation scene / I'm gonna hire you scene from Moff Gideon, like walking circles literally around Mando. He gets his helmet off, and then we have to, assign this task to him. It's like, you want the child back? You have to do something for me. Of course, we know he would not give the child back. But even so, Mando, in the moment of all these emotions, could be like, okay, I'll go. I'll help you escape from Bo-Katan, or I'll go against her.
You think Din is captured with helmet off in that scene? Or
if he gets captured, the helmet's coming off eventually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he gets captured.
Yeah.
It'd be great if he was
I
just
like that idea, Nathan.
Or something like, oh my god.
Man, that does seem very, very interesting. Because I really want to see that psychological manipulation that Moff Gideon has been teased to have.
It's so funny.
So powerful.
We keep pitching the idea of like the psychological struggles of like the honor system and stuff. Meanwhile, every episode's just like so simplistic of just like little journey, blow up the dragon. Fly this
I know, right? But, I mean, we say that, and like, yeah, the show is not incredibly deep. I say this every week, but
it's getting there. This season has been a lot more stuff than
it's getting there, and they give us good teases.
I mean, it does kind of, especially when we like got to Bo-Katan. It's like, oh man, yeah, the liberation of Mandalore, and it's just like, all right, take down this one ship, the small amount of squads, and then the next episode here, we're just like, all right. We're just gonna go into this base. Oh, we're leaving immediately.
Hey, you know what I want to talk about is Moff Gideon presumably doesn't have a Star Destroyer. We thought that it would probably be a Star Destroyer, but it looks just like a bigger class ship. I was curious by that.
This ship was in Rebels.
It looked very Rebels-like.
Yeah.
Like a star. I don't know what it's called. Like, it's a Star Freighter or Star. It wasn't Destroyer. It was something else.
So I might like look it up. But yeah,
look it up. It's like a lower class.
It was a great introduction shot as well, just like mimic the opening Star Wars shot the way it was coming into frame.
Yeah, it looked like the Tantive for a second, like coming down, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, are we like, what is going on? And then I'm like, oh,
yeah. I mean, it still seemed pretty big in terms of Mando scale, right? Like,
definitely.
Like, I guess we were still kind of. Yeah, we're still kind of right in the sense that, like, we theorize that he's going to have some kind of ship. Like, in episode 8, he didn't just come from outer space. He came from that area, from that ship to Navarro.
Another question I have for you guys, since we're on the topic. Do you think the galaxy is a big place, and if all these different cells of things are happening, especially I'm going to go on a limb and say that all of the Palpatine stuff is way separate, outer regions, wherever. Do you think there's other like cells or remaining Empire like mid-tier leaders like Moff Gideon kind of grasping whatever the resources they have left like this? Because it'd be interesting if the scope of, I'm talking season 3, season 4 down the line, of be some of these cells linking up and the remnants of the First Order. I mean, we get some of that in Bloodline.
Kind of like a reverse Rebels instance?
Yes.
I I like that. I mean, there's been evidence of that in like the comic books of like we know Moff Gideon isn't the only ruler. The Outer Rim is huge for a reason. So I could definitely see that in the future, like some kind of Breaking Bad scenario where in Breaking Bad and that Breaking Bad universe, there's so many different drug dealers competing with one another.
Right, and Moff Gideon versus someone else in the Empire. Moff Gideon going and hunting down other people presuming leadership over troops because he's short on troops. I could see him going and trying to amass people because he doesn't have them.
Exactly, just trying to get a Better Call Saul connection. No spoilers, but like in that show, I'm forgetting Giancarlo Esposito's name in Better Call Saul, but like he has a lot of Gus Fring, has a lot of competitors from the other cartels that really want to take him out. So I can definitely see a parallel to that in Star Wars where, hey, there's other leaders here who want to take out Moff Gideon. That would be awesome.
And I think that would be a great intro into his character without explicitly relying on flashbacks because we can see what he's making decisions on in the moment and what he thinks about all the stuff.
Oh, and I hope the show does what we saw in this episode more often where it pans away from Mando.
Cuts away from Mando himself.
How many times? Is this the first time? Like, I can't recall any other. I'm probably forgetting something. Yeah, that was like 2 seconds.
That's the only other shot, though. Let's think.
And even then, he was watching Mandalorian go away, right? He was watching Mando speed away on the speeder bike.
Oh, we get it twice. We get Cara Dune in the beginning. We forgot that cuts away. So that's twice in the same episode that it cuts away.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like full-fledged scenes where like we're like not on like in the area with Mando, but we're somewhere else.
Yes, A and B plots coming together. Like we get more fleshed out characters that's not exclusively through Mando's perspective.
Yeah, because it's making it seem like a fully fledged TV show, and I don't mean to say like Mando isn't a TV show, but in terms of bigger scope, like it just feels like this is a first person point of view, and now we're getting into a third person. We're like, okay, now we can go into different characters and see what their perspectives are. Because it seems more like a Star Wars movie, right? Star Wars movie doesn't focus just on Rey. It's like there's different perspectives and different scenes and stuff. So I love it.
Very true.
Any other questions?
Honestly, I'm just like having fun hyping myself up on different theories that are all
me too. This is so interesting, right? Like there's so many different and I guess I'll mention I tweeted out earlier like I'm still not a fan. I don't give a crap about Ahsoka live action. People I will never understand the fascination because I don't want to seem like a lame duck or whatever the term is, but people just like I can see some people freaking out once they see her in live action. I don't get it. Why are you freaking out? It's the same character you've seen for the past 10 years in live action. Guess what? Still Ahsoka. It's like I don't get it. But
I'm on board now because after my experience and I'm so mad the webcam failed me, but I'm so like after like when I saw Bo-Katan for the first time in live action, I was not only just flipping to just like how good the armor looked, but like when I saw like Katie under the helmet, I was like, my expectations, wow. Like I really could not process how I thought this was going to like pay off. And Lucasfilm, impeccable with their productions and their developments of characters on screen.
Yeah,
it's gonna look great. I know you're just like more like.
Even when I saw Bo-Katan, I remember when that episode came out, I didn't watch it yet, and people were saying like I was in tears. I'm like, really? I mean, we've seen Bo-Katan before. It's Katie Sackhoff,
but not in live action.
Why does live action matter?
Because now it's real. It's
now
tangible.
It's real.
But that's such a dumb thing to say. Like,
I know it is, but like, I know it is, but it's just how I feel. It's just how my brain works. So I'm just
it's
like
totally understandable. Like, I don't want to crap on people's like valid emotional responses. It's totally valid. Like, I can see a lot of people next week being like, "I was in tears seeing Ahsoka in live action," which is totally valid. It's just for me, I don't get it. But having said all that, we just spent like 20 minutes theorizing what Ahsoka could do for the story. I think she has a very when this rumor got started of Ahsoka and Mando season 2, I was fully against it. I still
But
kind of am.
furious. We were furious, but
I was
every
furious.
week we're cracking. We're cracking every week. We're
Where's the
little bit-
Rebel
little-
sequel?
Yeah.
And next week we'll be like, all right,
Announce
6,
it.
7,
Just
8. She's gonna be in every episode. I want
Just
lightsaber
announce
fights. I want.
Yeah.
Just announce the show. That's all I need.
Me too. I think that's one of the main reasons I'm kind of against it, because I'm just like, we haven't had a Rebel sequel yet, so it doesn't really.
Yeah,
make
no,
sense
they
in
haven't
the
announced a Rebel
timeline.
sequel, but they were like, yeah, Bad Batch. Like,
Oh
Yeah.
God. But yeah, so I've been kind of against it. I still kind of am. I don't think she's necessary to the show. You could have had any other
Mhm.
new Force user, and it will be the same thing. But I think in terms of
That's
Star
true.
Wars, in Star Wars, it's so easy to be like, why create a new one where we have a perfectly valid character that can just come in like Ahsoka? So I can see where they're going with that.
Yeah.
And
And I can see the
think,
parallels with the child and everything. I think
I can see the
works for her
parallels.
character, so
Yeah, I think it works, and it can lead to some very interesting things for Mando as a character. Again, changing his ideals to be like, I need to focus on Baby Yoda. I don't need to give him
Mhm.
off to anybody, and I also need to focus on taking out Moff Gideon. I think he needs to redirect his attention because he didn't know he was alive. We didn't talk about that. I found that
Yeah.
interesting because as an audience member, like, oh no shit, he's alive. But it was very interesting.
nobody
to be
else
like,
saw the Darksaber cutout of the TIE fighter, right?
He stood
Just
up on
the
a
tower.
mountain.
Yeah.
He stood up like.
No one was around.
Yeah, the dark saber. It was like 2 blocks from where Grief Karga and Cara Dune were.
I got it.
I imagine the dude from Chamber of Secrets actually that just like goes around and takes the pictures and he eventually gets frozen by the stake. Can you imagine there's like a
Yeah.
little dude photographer, Moff Gideon stands up, Ludwig's score goes up and someone just just goes and slashes him down.
The only way to defeat the Darksaber, a mirror. Like,
A mirror. What was I gonna say? To kind of wrap up the Mando topic, I think I'm the most excited that I've been all season, and it took me. I mean, I've been every week. I've been like, yes, this is good. I'm liking this season, but I think now, because of the mystery of it all, and me diving into not seeing anything from the later half of the season, I'm just excited at the possibilities. More so than I was than just having the raw scoop of like character. I'm starting to see the threads, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
I think like little did we know we're actually feeling the effect of the Disney live action remake and the Star Wars stories in our own sense. You didn't even know it right under your nose. Bob Iger was like, "Hey, what if we took the cartoon and made it real?" But he did it for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But also to that point, I'm like I'm with other fans with like seeing Bo-Katan in like the sense of like people who are at D23 who saw the first footage of Lion King, like, look at it, it's real. Pride Rock.
And look what happened.
Circle. No, it still looks good. Like,
It does.
Lion King looks good. It was the stepping stone for the volume, you know.
Back on Jungle Book.
Back on Iron Man, anyway.
Oh gosh. One last thing before we quit. I'm very excited to see Dave Filoni directing again. I'll be honest, I didn't like his last couple, especially episode 5. I think episode 1 is solid. It's okay, it's solid. In terms of like setting the tone for the series as a whole.
I keep forgetting he did the pilot. I only think of the Gunslinger.
Yeah. And the pilot for new series is always very important because like new directors, although they can have a style, they have to follow what the pilot director does in terms of tone, style, and look of the show. And I think Dave Filoni captured that very well in episode 1. So hopefully this could be his best directorial debut yet, because people have been liking what Carl Weathers did. People liked what Bryce Dallas Howard did. Peyton Reed was Peyton Reed, of course. And then people liked I forget who did episode 1. That was Jon Favreau. So yeah, people like that as well. So I think people are liking the new directors this season. I do wish we had more women directors this season, but alas, I'm excited to see what Filoni can do next week.
Absolutely. Now in the realm of not so canon, but I'll still find it. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which is just all my bread and butter in the fact that like I've grown up with Star Wars, equally have grown up with Lego. And when you combine the two, it's the majority of my bedroom. So this was a fun thing to experience. And I was honestly surprised of like how like there was a lot of cute little personal moments. Like the whole there's a lot to go through. So just like the whole like premise is like we're celebrating Life Day. And just like right from the jump. So we've all seen the holiday special. We're just gonna spoiler it.
Mm-hmm.
So just from the get-go, I was so fascinated, even though again it's a silly little Lego cartoon, but it's just my canon brain was like, oh my god, Rey's training Finn. Like
Yeah, just off the jump too. That was very not what I was expecting. I don't know if you guys were expecting that either.
No,
because it was very cool. I mean, Finn becoming a Jedi still feels iffy to me. Especially because of how last minute it wasn't Trust. But I liked what it did for this show. I mean, for this specific arc that he had in the show.
it was also weird because like I never thought like by the end of the trilogy, I never saw Rey as a fully fledged Jedi Master, as she like I think referred to herself. I get that that's also from the point
did she say she was a master?
As someone or herself did at a point called her Jedi Master, but like it was weird because like I think it's probably just because for the whole point of the sequel trilogy I was like thinking yes the Jedi must end new development, but we didn't really do that so
not really, no.
I'm sure they did the thing with like they did with Luke in Return of the Jedi, like nah, you must confront the Emperor and then you are the full Jedi.
Yeah, it real quick, Carson, but like it's funny because I don't want to nitpick because it is a cartoon. But also, like in terms of,
I got some Ben Solo nitpicks. I will.
Yeah, when Nathan said in terms of canon, it's like if we're really getting to the canon of it all, it just kind of goes into my criticism of the sequel trilogy, where it's like they had this opportunity to change things up, especially after the Last Jedi, and they really didn't. And now Rey is training Finn, and I'm like, what's stopping her from like what's she teaching him that she learned from other people, right? Like. What is she going to change up? And of course, the holiday special just doesn't dive into that. But it's like
she was following the books to a T.
She was following the books to a T. I'm like,
that's what I want. That's what my first comment was going to be. Is I think it's fun, kind of pokes fun at that a little bit. I think it's like, oh, well, I've read everything in the books. What am I supposed to do? And of course, we're sitting there like, time for you to look past the pile of old books.
Yeah.
But then I think the payoff though with the Yoda scene is really sweet because in a simplified kind of way, it's like it's about friendship, man. Like that's more important. Like, and I think that was cool to see. And then I love the ultimate payoff where she just gives Finn a hug, man. Like I love that. Like,
great.
I did too.
Like so.
Oh gosh.
It's both
he
like
said it.
it's simple, but it works, and I think. That's what I loved about it is it didn't gloss over it, but it cared about it, but it didn't spend too much time because it didn't need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they made the books as like a negative for the holiday special to teach kids like it's not all about like following the books, which is very much what The Last Jedi was trying to say. Like you have to think about like all these emotional connections with people. And I like that. I think it was very good. Very well earned.
From that point, I'd say like it definitely feels like an actual holiday special because like holiday specials are like really fast and quick and like very short stories, but like they'll just have like that little sliver storyline of just like love and compassion and stuff that you're just like, oh wow, that does hit the heartstrings, and I will watch this every season, and it's lovely. There's a lot of like fun moments. And it's funny too because just like. For some reason, I wasn't expecting a huge like through line narrative like that. I was just like, yeah, we're gonna bounce from these worlds and have wacky hijinks. Even to the point where like we're all these like different timelines are on Tatooine, to where Luke is. That's only like not even the middle of the whole program. I thought that was gonna be like the finale.
And I didn't expect
there
to
like
be
20 minutes in.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes in, and I didn't expect there to be like. I surprisingly loved the stuff with young Luke and Rey when they're just kind of stuck there in the temple, and then Luke's just chasing or fixes BB-8 and kind of just like is kind of having these conversations with her, and it obviously reminds her of a young and naive self, And I love that moment because it was just cool to see that like, hey, that's my master, but like also like he was once how I was, and made the mistakes and didn't know the things that I know now. Like, it's just cool to see that kind of thing. And I think the fun of the holiday special is just bringing all those elements for that scene to happen, because obviously that can't happen in canon, but in this it can, and it's awesome.
It was so funny hearing there was a stark contrast in voice between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi Luke, because like when I was hearing him in A New Hope, I was like, that's definitely whiny, and then he just sounded like so like stern, just like, hey kid, like in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but I love the part where she's like, I don't need to ask, just let's fucking fight these guys. Like, let's do it.
Like, everyone in a black cape, let's go. But yeah, let's actually like discuss like going through the different dimensions. So the first thing we do is we go through to Dagobah and seeing the different training for that. And it's basically the same scene. Not a lot happens. It's just kind of set up the premise. But it is cool just to like see Rey watch that moment. But the next one immediately is just like she's in the Phantom Menace and Obi-Wan's just like, who cares about a trade dispute?
And that was honestly one of the smartest jokes of that, because it was it summarized like 25 years of discourse into like one line of like everyone ripping on Phantom Menace. And it was
I bet George Lucas watching this like, I care about trade disputes. Like, oh no.
Hey, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of rip John Schnepp, but may he rest in peace. But they did a commentary track on Phantom Menace, and he is so funny in that guy. So every time there's people standing around in a circle, he's like, another semicircle of people standing around saying nothing. And he's like, 8 semicircles. Oh my god, can we hit double digits? Like, it's so
a lot of standing and talking in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, so that's what it made me think of. And
yeah, it was a very funny scene because you go from that and then straight into Attack of the Clones and Obi-Wan and Anakin talking with one another. And
do you think he saw us?
I couldn't. No, it was funny because like again, my canon brain was on, so I was just like, oh, those are Clone Wars outfits. Like, is this Attack of the Clones?
But I couldn't tell. It seemed like when they were like going to visit Padme for the first time in Attack of the Clones, but Anakin was wearing his Lego Revenge of the Sith outfit or Clone Wars outfit.
It is funny though that I'm just like, there's like Matt, you hear Matt Lantern's like, I know Master, but I just haven't seen her in a long time. But he's just like, he's there. He's also there with a whole bouquet of flowers, like ready to go.
Speaking of Attack of the Clones, I'm just realizing there would have been a hilarious opportunity both to tie in with like the Jedi books that Rey's reading if we added a scene with Jocasta Nu in the library where Rey's like going to find something or accidentally goes through a portal and it's the Jedi library. Or just like the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, because obviously Rey hasn't been there. That'd be funny if Jocasta was like, "Be quiet," because BB-8's being loud or something.
Yeah. There's so many good points. Just going through. But yeah, then Rey starts making her way right back, and she's like, the next thing was like she went to the trench run from A New Hope, and then
I love that one. Yeah.
They do the whole thing. And it's like, it's so cool to like that she was also tuned in to like hearing Obi-Wan when Luke was.
And also that he comes in like 3 times. He's like, use the Force. And then keep forgetting. Use the Force.
And Rey's just like, do it. And it's so like, it was like so wholesome when she like returned back to the cave and she was like fangirling out about it. Was like, we helped take down the Death Star. Like, it was so adorable.
I like that.
And then they, we're still like going through stuff, and then she goes to visit Vader and Palpatine. That's where the big conflict begins.
This is where it gets good for me because like up until that point, I'm like, okay, this is good. It's pretty funny. But I tweeted it out. The best part about this holiday special was easily 3 characters, and that is Palpatine, Vader, and Kylo Ren. They made this holiday special for me. Every scene with them was freaking gold, especially
my favorite cut of this entire thing is when it cuts between Kylo describing the entire events post Return of the Jedi. And he's like, so you're telling me that
He throws
can't
meat
remember.
on a reactor shaft, and Vader's just like,
Yeah. And then he just like buddies Kylo, and he's like, "Oh, do you have a lightsaber?" Like, oh, that's cool.
Ooh,
That dude over there,
cracking
his lightsaber sucks. Like, you could come with me now and be like our new, like, you could be
Oh,
supreme
man.
leader, and I could
you have
be
a
like
masked
a mega
kid? Oh, let
supreme
me
leader.
fix that. And Vader's
I
like,
was
oh, how
dying.
original.
I was dying. Vader was
That
killing.
stuff was
Vader
great.
was on another comedic level.
yeah.
The Hoth stuff was
He was
hilarious
great.
too. Most
Yeah.
impressive. You are me. Anakin just pops out completely there. I'm like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
Oh, that was great too. Even just like when they first get to Ben's room, who is just full swallow, no shirt.
Oh, loved it.
And Hux is like tripping over his words like 5 times, where he's just like, yes, the Navy, the midriff.
Oh, that was
it's-
too funny.
It's so good. And it was also just funny, like when they're just hiding in his closet, just like, wait, what do you mean it's supreme leader? Is that above emperor? Sounds like it.
That was great.
It was great, just like even to that point, like before, like when they're like leading up and they get the key, they're just like, I want to see where I'm like the most powerful. Let's go. So let's say about 30 years, where we know this sequel trilogy.
What could possibly go wrong? Like who's this boy? Like in this, like what's going on here?
Oh, but also the lead up to that, there's a lot that goes on of just like where it's just the Rey and Vader stuff and just the confrontation is so good. And it's so funny when they're on the Hoth base and like Vader's about to strike Rey down, but then like there's the explosion. Vader's here from Empire, and then we're just having a discussion. And it's so funny just hearing the Vader voice go back and forth. It's funny because like this is the voice actor they do for Vader. Like he does the serious stuff, like he'll do like Fallen Order and like those different things, but then he will also do like the jokey performances of things.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's the same voice actor.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much the same voice actor they've had for so many projects that isn't.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. I gotta look him up.
Yeah, and so it was hilarious when they're just like charge the base, forget the base, get the girl. You dare contradict me? It was like the Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's
remember
exactly
that.
what I thought of. The best Toy Story movie. But yeah.
It was so good, and they're just it was so good when they're fighting. They're just like impressive, most impressive.
Most impressive. You are me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
And then they go through so many different timelines. That was awesome.
It was so fun because I think immediately after that they're in like the Revenge of the Sith Mustafar fight, which was shot so dynamically for this cartoon for no
It really
reason.
was.
It really was.
I was like, damn, dude, if you had this full series, like this is some like it looks so good. They're like going to, like even some troops are like, oh, I got the key, and then they're like forcing around, and like Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting like, I hate you, Obi-Wan. So,
And
then,
then
like-
the pod racing, right? And like, oh, I think
Yeah,
they
no,
go to
wait.
Mandalorian.
yeah, before like they're falling down the lava river, and then as they're going down, it was so fun because you just hear Ludwig score just like the dunna, like immediately
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my god, we're in Mando. It's so cool. Just blast around, and they just all like freeze. There's no real explanation why they stop falling, but like they just freeze in place to just like admire Baby Yoda's cuteness. It's so cute.
It's perfect.
Even
I think we
Anakin
go
and
to
Obi-Wan
Exegol
stop.
too. Didn't we go to Exegol for like 2
Yes,
seconds?
and I will get to
Oh
that.
yeah,
one
we
second.
did.
Like we going through all the different things. Yeah, we go to the pod race, and it's funny hearing the announcer dudes. They're just like, I don't care what universe you're from, that's gotta hurt. Like, and like the clones that were like stationed on the traffic duty. And
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and they're flying
Double
through.
jinx.
Double jinx. But yeah, then they fly through, and yeah, eventually they do end up like flying through Exegol, and I'm just like, oh my god, Exegol. Ben, I was legitimately just like, come on. I didn't get it, and I was like, damn it, but fine.
That'd been funny if they go to the bottom of the cliff and Ben's just like sitting there, just like contemplating life, all bloody, trying to
Oh
climb the
my
cliff.
God.
And
No, I was like wondering,
I
like,
didn't
what
even
if
see
Palpatine? That's what I would do if I was Drake. I was like, Palpatine throws him, but then like, oh, he falls into the pit, and then that works. He's saved. Yeah. But yeah, then we continue forward, and then we all like crash on Tatooine through all these different timelines. Now everybody's here. And it's pretty much stuff we saw in the trailer anyway, but it's just funny, like the binary suns joke and everything. And
I love
Well,
Maul like crawling on the sand. It didn't even draw attention to it.
oh,
It
and
was
right before
hilarious.
that, all 3 episode Obi-Wan's is like, hello there in a group. So yeah, and Maul's
And then the Han Solos, the Han stuff was great.
I love Greedo just like Unta Gunta Solos.
Too funny.
It's so great.
But then they leave him there, which I thought was hilarious, and I thought I wasn't gonna go back to it. And I'm like, wait, they're all just Tatooine.
No, yeah, and we eventually. It's funny because then like Luke gets the key, and then that starts another chain of events of the story. They all fall into the pit. And so they're and it's funny like later when Rey's talking, Luke's just like, I don't know what a Darth Vader is. He's just the farm boy. It's just so fascinating. Like there's no like real deep lessons to be learned except friendship, which is great. But like there's no like Jedi wisdom or anything. It's just a kid, Luke, which is fun. But yeah, then we do start down like the whole dark side path where we like incorporate Kylo into everything, and then he's on the second Death Star, and they're like nerding out about stuff, and then like the Emperor's just like I'm like with my new apprentice, just like Luke's is on the forest moon, fetch. That's all he says. And I was like, damn. And then, but even Ben is just like, you do realize this is the whole chain of events that's gonna kill you.
Love it.
It's so fun.
Can we talk about though when Rey shows up after the Force Ghost scene?
Oh man,
and she goes,
"Here we go,
Ben." And I'm like,
no, they did this to me on purpose. No,
I was like, why? Come on.
She does it twice too.
Yes, no. And when she's like, goodbye, Ben, in a very sad voice. I'm like, why would you do this to me?
Yeah, thank you. I'm like, why are you teasing me? You make him the villain in this funny freaking holiday
you
special.
Make him the villain. Also... You flew through Exegol. You went there.
Yeah, brought us back to Exegol. You make us suffer.
You addressed Ben twice, where she definitely has the feelings.
Yeah. Oh, we also didn't mention I think the funniest joke was when Palpatine asked Ben, "So, have you ever thrown your master over a reactor or anything?" And he flashes back to killing Snoke. He's like, "Oh, and it's not reactor,"
but it's also, and I think it's also the point in like TLJ didn't like throne room and TLJ didn't happen yet because he's alone doing it. Like Rey isn't there yet. He's not of that mindset. He's just like, he's so satisfied too when he does it. It was so great to see.
That was hilarious.
No, not a reactor shaft. But so good. But yeah, there's a lot of great moments. Like the final battle, they do the thing with like Kylo's reaching out for the key, but then Rey catches it just like Force Awakens, just like
that
was a good callback. Yeah.
And then he gets like really pissed about it, and then immediately he's back into it.
And the fight itself was really cool. I love seeing everyone fight.
Yeah, the fights were choreographed very well. Seeing young Ben fight Return of the Jedi Luke, which people had always had,
or even before that. Even before that, he's calling out A New Hope farm boy Luke, just like, you're gonna pay for what you did to me. Like, what?
It was very like Thanos in Endgame with Scarlet Witch. He's like, I have no idea who you are.
Like turned up to 11.
Return of the Jedi did that totally. It was so funny.
But we haven't talked about like everyone back on the planet and Poe like trying to like put together the party. He was hilarious. Rose was great.
To that point. It's all of Chewie's original holiday special family from the 78 special.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Not just that, they recycled some Wookiee noises from that holiday special for this.
Whoa, did they? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, the ones that people have gotten very annoyed by over the years for no subtitle listening for 90 minutes. But like, I was hearing it, I was like, oh my god, they actually did it. And like, it's the same designs, like Chewie's like father, the white Wookiee, like. Mm-hmm. Who like swallowed a pork at one point and then Chewie just like slapped his back out.
And then Poe's on top of the Falcon like trying to roast the Minoc or something.
Tip Yip.
Yeah, I was like, what is it, Tip Yip? I'd never heard of that before.
But all that stuff was flying and everyone shows up. Lando shows up, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Who else comes?
Maz was there. Where's my boyfriend?
I forgot you were there. Yeah.
Zori shows up but doesn't say a word and just kind of like hugs Poe. It's weird, but
they did reassure that romance with the mistletoe kiss.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, okay, like I guess that was a thing. I wish Rose had more. Oh yeah, Baba Freak was there. I wish Rose had more to do in like in that B plot storyline there.
Yeah,
it was very Poe centric. I didn't see that coming.
I will say how adorable it is to hear Kelly Marie Tran as Rose nerd out that Finn is singing in Huttese and then joins in to
Joined
sing
in.
in Huttese.
That was pretty cute.
It's so good. Yeah, and there's so many like funny moments of like with Poe too. Just he's just like his over accentuated self essentially. Where he's like, "Oh, BB, you're leaving too, buddy," and even like Dio wrote up like, "Don't leave." Now I'm sad. But then
And then he like
Poe-
tears up when they hug, or when Finn and Ray hug. I thought that's
oh,
funny.
he's sneak chic like. It's so fun, dude. It's so funny. Yeah, they're setting up all the different things and like the ice sculptures and stuff. And even like by the end,
Dude, I love the book. I love like the book thing and the narration, like book ending it.
Dude,
Reminds me of like
that
the
was
Mickey
nice.
Mouse like
I
holiday
still have-
movie
Totally.
special thing.
Yeah, I still have to edit my because I reacted to it. I still have to edit that. But like, there was no point I laughed harder than at the very last shot where I see Yoda dressed in this like Charles Dickens looking
Yeah, that was
War hat.
hilarious.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, that took me off guard. I'm like, okay, we're doing that. Okay.
Oh, I lost it with the best glee. I was so I was so amused. Dude, it's such a fun special.
Yeah, and then, one of my also favorites was when Vader was throwing Palpatine over the edge, and he had like his red sweater underneath while he was getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
That
like,
was
what's
Oh,
hilarious.
and when Palpatine was falling, and he just like is talking to himself or whatever, and just keep. And
Oh,
you see one of
that
the.
was the thing of just if you want, I guess, Ben Hope for this timeline, the fact that like he renounced his evil ways, so he will not convert Ben to the dark side.
But then they kill him off because in Star Wars, whenever you renounce the evil, you got to get killed off. So.
Oh, there was
you gotta-
there was another funny point where when he was saying like this is the whole chain of events that like throws you down a reactor shaft, and we all know there's no coming back from that. He
Oh
looked at-
yeah, and they linger on that joke, and I'm like, no.
he looked at the camera. Like,
I'm like, come
oh
on.
my god.
But yeah, the whole Ben and Ray thing really got me. I'm like, Jesus. Like that was like, come on. Oh, that was awful. But I did like how this Lego Ben did give Ray like another chance to be like, hey, we could roll together. Like,
Yeah,
round
yeah. And
three.
even Palpatine was like, "Wait, huh?"
You didn't talk about this. What's going on here?
And he's so confident too. He's like, great, it joined me.
It's so funny. And then like after that, like Palpatine is just electrocuting Vader already. Just like that's throwing me down a reactor shaft. I didn't yet.
They were hilarious. Vader and Palpatine. They made this special for me.
So wholesome, and it just reminded me how much I love all these characters, and I think I needed that. I said it earlier. I can't remember, probably off air, but like it was just like I needed this kind of Star Wars antidote to all the conversations and discourse and coping and all of it, and it was refreshing.
Are you guys going to plan like on watching this every year? Is this kind of thing you guys would like watching?
I think so.
Now.
Yeah,
like
I think so too.
I think
Like
I
certain
certain like,
scenes. Yeah.
put on Jack Frost, and then after I watch Jack Frost or whatever, put on the holiday special. Like, why
A Lost
not?
Frozen Adventure. Heck yeah, let's go.
Oh,
make
God.
it a triple feature.
Mm-hmm. But it did make me miss. Speaking of like Disney Plus or whatever, it made me miss like watching the old Mickey Mouse like holiday stuff. Like I haven't watched those.
And
in a
I
long
think
time.
I have an old
What's on
DVD
the
of that somewhere.
I
But
might have the old VHS or DVD. Yeah.
that disc, I don't know what it is about those Mickey Mouse. Okay, so there's one where one of the Donald Duck's like kids gets like shipped to the North Pole. There's one where Goofy's son comes home. There's one where Minnie and Mickey go ice skating. I don't know why I have
like
such
that
memories of them.
Is that
Yeah.
But they're so good.
Once Upon a Christmas and Twice Upon a Christmas? The like short.
I think so.
Yes,
plot
they're the
story.
shorts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're really good.
Oh yeah. Hey. This is Lego though, so I had to do it to them and build a commemorative little piece.
Ooh,
Nice.
Fun,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that Kylo's just standing there, like,
Oh yeah, literally.
grandfather.
Yeah, literally. Oh my god. All right.
But yeah, I did get a cool kick seeing him fight like Return of the Jedi Luke, because like back in like the Force Awakens stage, people used to always have like theories like who would win the fight, Kylo Ren or Return of the Jedi Luke. I was like, I think Kylo Ren might have a good shot there. It was just very fun seeing that kind of craziness happen. Yeah, I loved it.
Wild. Yeah, I think that does like touch everything. But it is like a
Mhm.
cute little thing. Even got Force Ghost, Luke, and Leia at the very end. Really
Yep.
re-wrapping it up to remember
Yeah.
Tross. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
You know
yeah.
what?
Remember?
Star Wars kids content has been killed. I'm giving a shout out to everything from Resistance to
Galaxy of Adventure.
the Galaxies of Adventures to the what are those other little shorts called?
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny. They
Rollouts?
I missed
all have
that.
been
Rollouts are Ben Solo Blue
rollouts.
Butterflies.
Oh
They've
man.
all been
Yeah.
so good. Like people don't talk about it, but it's just been fun. Like I just love. I mean, even though it's not directed at us whatsoever, like I love these little like side quest
No,
things. It's just
I am a child at heart.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's what Star Wars should be about. And I think that's what the holiday special really is all about. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, you're all friends. Come on, like stop arguing. Like
Exactly.
okay.
It made me realize how much, like, even though I had some criticisms of the sequel trilogy via this holiday special, I was like, it also made me miss like the sequel trilogy era as well. I'm like,
Yeah.
as soon as it started, I'm having theories of like what's really happening post
Mhm.
Tross. I'm like, oh man, I miss this cast of characters so much. Like, I love these guys.
They're the best, man. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was. I think right from the jump when I was like seeing a training of Finn for
Yeah,
like, a Jedi, I was like, dude, the stories
the
are
potential. Come on.
the
You know what?
potential of your
Give it
potential.
15 years. We're gonna be taking our kids. 15 and 20 years, we'll be taking our kids to the theaters. Like, back in 2015, your dad was in the theater. Like, oh my god, it was so
Yeah.
exciting. Like,
Just imagine, like
Do we?
what?
I mean, yeah, we can still be on this topic, but like, do we even have time to go over any like actual like news at all? It's an hour and 40 we're in.
I don't even remember there
No.
being news.
There wasn't
there
anything else.
Daisy was addressing like how she felt about.
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so tired of that discourse in 5 seconds.
There's no reason to have a discourse. She has an opinion on her freaking
Literally.
character. That's
exactly
it.
what I meant.
That's
Yeah.
it. She liked her.
Wait,
she liked
hold
her
on.
portrayal.
I want to pull up a tweet, and this is going to be
Oh.
my response.
Oh, geez. Are we attacking somebody's tweet?
No. I thought this was a great tweet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
This
going
is
to
the
call
only
somebody
thing
out
that-
or something.
No, I'm not calling anybody out. Let me find it.
But yeah, I'm
Uh,
like, Daisy has liked her portrayal in every single movie. She just defended Rey in Force Awakens. She defended Rey in The Last Jedi. And she likes the ending of the Rey's character. That's it. She likes shade.
fair.
People are surprised when people like John Boyega and Rey like John Boyega and Daisy like J.J. Abrams. People hate J.J. Abrams now, and they're like, guess what, guys? J.J. Abrams is still a cool guy. Surprise.
It's like a similar thing because I think even like John had some TLJ criticisms, but you know he's still like respectful of Ryan. I think he even was like having
Exactly.
the other day.
It's-
Like, yeah.
It's like just because people hate Tross, they like that means they hate JJ as a person now. And people can't get that like dissociation. They're like, oh guys, guess what? JJ is still a good guy. You don't have to like his movies.
Remember that whole studio deconstruction that John Boyega did in the articles that he published, interviews? Like, yeah, it's deeper than just the director himself.
All right,
I
here's
agree.
the tweet.
Okay, are you gonna share screen? There it is. All right, boom. Slimo.
Good old Slimo. Yep.
Way
That's
an
all I
actor
have to
feels
say.
about a movie they worked on will always differ from the way an audience experiences it, in my opinion. The memories they've made, the work/energy they've put into it, and the relationships they've formed play a huge part in it, and that's such a personal thing.
1,000%. Like we saw that earlier decades ago with people like Harrison Ford, where he didn't give a crap about Han Solo. And,
do we go after Harrison every day? No, you all like laugh a bunch, like, oh, look at him crash the plane again. Oh, silly old grandpa.
Right, like calm down, everybody.
And same thing with Mark Hamill. Remember the whole controversy with him and Luke in The Last Jedi? It's like he has a different opinion about Luke. I think he could have handled it differently, but I think just like, he has a totally different opinion on Luke than most fans do, and that's completely fine.
I find it amazing. Like they even kept like Mark's opinion on Luke, like in the behind the scenes. On you
Which
can
made
go
it-
watch.
which made it an even better doc, I think.
Yeah, and that's what makes Star Wars so good is it challenges itself to be better and to have a diverse amount of opinions. It's a big galaxy, people. Come
big
on.
galaxy, complex characters. That's why people have different opinions. Because we wouldn't have these characters were like very one note. So it's good. It's good. It's good discussions, but don't get too angry about it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I feel like other people would probably like throw out like, but we're all having a unanimous great time with the Mandalorian, and to that I would say, have you seen Evan's thoughts on Ahsoka for live action?
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
I can't wait to like after the season airs to go back to our old clips and make like a progression of all of our reactions, like to every scoop, like each scoop of the Ahsoka thing each week, and then like the first like action scene of Ahsoka back in live action, like oh my god, like she's back, like oh
yeah, I love seeing lightsabers in live action.
No, it's gonna be a weird thing where we're gonna be like taking the first clip of when we discussed like why would you just give us the Rebel sequel, and then like in a couple weeks time we're gonna be like when they got to that scene, like I
you would never hear me say that, but no, I can't wait for Nathan's reaction.
In the cut, I mean, yeah, like that would be fun. But honestly, that might be just like a good full circle conversation at that point. So
yep.
Yeah, we now venture into the unknown regions of the season of The Mandalorian. No footage to go off of, just hopes for Dave Filoni's next episode, and then I think it's a wild card of like the layout of the next directors, whichever Robert.
The real Mandalorian season 2 second half is the friends you made along the way.
Directed by the friends you made along the way.
The Mandalorian holiday special. Here we go. Let's do it.
I mean, they tease. We did showcase that like Lego short clip the other day when we were doing the trailer because the YouTube kids uploaded it. So yeah, anything's possible. But yeah, I had a great time. Super excited to discuss what we're going to be seeing next week. But with that being said, Carson, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at the Film Carson, talking about all things related to me not being able to acquire PlayStation 5 for the foreseeable future. But otherwise, talking about movies, talking about doing some rewatches. Got some new 4K discs in today. That's always fun. I finished my Mission Impossible rewatch, a blast. So good. I'm so excited for Mission Impossible 7 and 8. I just counting down the days. But yeah, I catch you guys on My Cup of Tea next week, where we have some interesting stories that already came out today, and probably some more big news next week with whatever is around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're literally gonna like every time you watch My Cup of Tea, we're gonna talk about all the week-old stories before they break the following day. So, yeah. Evan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. So yeah, next week is gonna be the big episode. Usually, like my schedule is, I don't watch it the night of. I just go to bed and then I watch it after work around 11 a.m. But since next week is Thanksgiving week, I'm not going to be doing anything Friday, so I might just be like, F it. Let me just watch it at 3 a.m. when it drops, like a Disney shill. So that's what I'll be doing. But also, I can't wait to talk about it. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Netflix has Survivor. 2 seasons of Survivor is on Netflix, and it is in the top 10 of Netflix's weird, like, top 10 TV shows thing. So watch it. Those are some 2 great seasons of Survivor. Besides that, I think that's it. Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, my curiosity. Now you have my attention. All right.
There I go. Yeah.
TV, it's all access, but like, you can find me on social media is linked in the description below. All of us included. Currently reacts to The Mandalorian as well as other shows, so that's always fun. But yeah, you can join us on My Cup of Tea on Wednesday, and for another Hyperspace Hype, diving into the Dave Filoni episode on my birthday. So that'll be a fun little celebration stream. Even to that point as well, I think we're like a day late, but happy birthday to Adam Driver.
Yes.
It would have been fun to discuss some favorite Ben moments, but like I feel like you just tune in every week and we'll tell you our favorite.
Yeah, we'll give you the rundown. Our new favorite Adam Driver moment is his. I don't know. Everyone go watch the Last Week Tonight clip of him talking to John Oliver after John Oliver did the bit for like 10 episodes, and he finally got him on the show to just absolutely roast him, and it's hilarious.
It's the best.
It's so good. I think he was like saying like the term "stan" and everything. It was phenomenal.
Iconic.
I think he was like breaking down like all like the aggressive like violent acts, and he was like, "What's wrong with you?" and that like calm voice, like, "What's wrong with you?"
Great. He's such a good actor. I cannot wait for all
watched
movies that he ever does.
So yeah, with that being said, you can join us back on Friday. And if you did in fact enjoy our show, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if not already. That being said, hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.